Global War 36 enthusiast here, introducing Operation 8th Air Force, a YouTube war of Global War 36 version 4.2. Hambone selected Operation 8th Air Force for our operational name. The 8th Bomber Command of the United States Army Air Force was established early in 1942. The first combat units arrived in the United Kingdom in June, and combat operations began in July, with the first heavy bomber operations in August. From June of 1943, it was the daylight bombing part of the combined bomber offensive against Germany. The 8th Bomber Command was redesignated as the 8th Air Force on the 22nd of February 1944. The mighty 8th carried out strategic bombing of enemy targets in France, the Low Countries, and Germany, engaging in air-to-air fighter combat against the enemy aircraft until the German capitulation in May of 1945. The point-blank directive of June 1943 redirected the Allied strategic bombing effort against the German Air Force in order to reduce it to the point where it could not oppose the planned invasion of France in mid-1944. Also in June 1943, two groups of the 8th Air Force from England began training for the upcoming Operation Tidal Wave, a low-level raid on the Ploiești refineries in Romania. Assigned as the new commander of the 8th Air Force in January of 1944, Major General Jimmy Doolittle made a critical doctrinal change requiring escorting fighters to remain with the bombers at all times. American fighters began flying far ahead of the bombers in a combat box formation in air supremacy mode, literally clearing the skies of all and any Luftwaffe fighter opposition heading towards the target. As part of this game-changing strategy, especially after the bombers had hit their targets, the USAAF's fighters were then free to strafe German airfields and transports while returning to the base, contributing significantly to the achievement of air superiority by Allied air forces over Europe. By mid-1944, 8th Air Force had reached a total strength of more than 200,000 people. It is estimated that more than 350,000 Americans served in the 8th Air Force during the war in Europe. At peak strength, 8th Air Force had 40 heavy bomber groups, 15 fighter groups, and 4 specialized support groups. It could, and often did, dispatch more than 2,000 four-engine bombers and more than 1,000 fighters on a single mission to multiple targets. It was the largest of the deployed combat Army Air Forces in numbers of personnel, aircraft, and equipment. These missions, however, carried a high price. Half of the U.S. Army Air Force's casualties in World War II were suffered by the 8th Air Force. More than 47,000 casualties and more than 26,000 dead. 17 Medals of Honor went to 8th Air Force Army personnel during the war. By war's end, they had been awarded a number of other medals, to include 220 Distinguished Service Crosses, 442,000 air medals. There were 261 fighter aces in the Air Force in the 8th Air Force during World War II. 31 of these aces had 15 or more aircraft kills apiece. Another 305 enlisted gunners were also recognized as aces. Credit to the Wikipedia for that information. For this game, we will have 3 house rules. First, USSR D6 peacetime income increase will be at least a 5 on turn 2. Panzer J will still get to roll to see if he gets a 6, but at least it's a 5 at minimum. Second, heavy strategic bomber technology only lowers inherent anti-aircraft of facilities to a 2 instead of a 1. And third, anti-aircraft artillery overall as a land unit will drop down to a 2 instead of hitting on a 3. Boston Bruce will be playing as KMT USA. Hambone will command the Commonwealth in France. Sarge Shellhole will lead Germany and Italy. Panzer J will control the Comintern, and I will return as the USA. I'm sorry, I will return as Japan. You can find links to my fellow players' channels in the description below. Please subscribe to their channels and follow along. Looking forward to another exciting game.